Hi, everyone, and welcome to Tech Tuesday. My name is Dr. Haifa Maamar. I am the Executive Director of Emerging Technologies here at Full Sail University. And today we're streaming live from Full Sail, but on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. So today we will be, I will be introducing you to a local company here in Central Florida that is doing amazing solutions and different simulations for the defense industry. I went and I toured this company a couple of weeks ago, and I was so impressed by what they're doing and the high fidelity of their products, and because they're using extended reality. So seeing all of that and experiencing all of that and not feeling any kind of motion sickness, that was impressive. But then also, I was impressed by their culture because it reminded me of Full Sail, that spirit of innovation and creativity and freedom in everything we do. So I'm talking about Mass Virtual. And actually, the amazing thing about them also is that they have a bunch of Full Sail grads. And I have one of them with me today. I have Emily Annibale. She is a Full Sail grad from the Recording Arts program. Hey, RA students. And then I also have Dave Dwyer, who is the Chief Operation Officer at Mass Virtual as well. So welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Well, I'm really grateful for you, for your time, for being here. And I'm looking forward to an amazing session where you're taking us kind of on a journey to understand more what you're doing at Mass Virtual, what are some of the trainings that you are creating. And today, actually, today's episode is how are we revolutionizing the aircraft training? So how are they using the XR technology in the Air Force operations? So before we start talking about all these different trainings that you guys created at Mass Virtual and how are you using XR technology, I would love first for you to introduce yourself to our audience, if you can, please, and talk about your background. And Emily, talk about what you did at Full Sail, what program you did, and so on.
Well, hello, my name is Emily Annibale. I am the Sound Design Supervisor at Mass Virtual currently. I've been there for 2 years. When I was in Full Sail, I actually was going to work. You know, I was one of the students when they said, don't go to work. I was going to work still. So
you were full-time doing immersive.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
full-time here on campus
Yeah.
and also working full-time?
Yes. So I was working at BB King's Orlando in Point Orlando. So I drive. And I was going to school. So I was a hostess at night some days, and then I was just going to school, doing my curriculum.
Did you ever sleep?
Yeah, I made time for that. I love sleeping, so I definitely learned time management in that way,
I'm
just to
glad
make
you
time
did.
for both.
Okay.
Yeah, but as I said, I was working and going to school, and then I graduated, and then COVID happened, so I kind of got stuck in that restaurant industry loop, which was fine because I was learning skills there as well. But I kind of just had to snap out of it one day and realize that that's not what I moved down from New York to Orlando for. And then I stumbled upon Mass Virtual and changed my whole career path. And that's how I got into simulation and audio.
That's great. And you graduated from the
Recording arts degree, 2019 of August.
2019.
Yeah, so
Well,
COVID
welcome
happened a little bit
back.
after.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
To Full Sail.
Thank you.
And Dave, can you please tell us a bit about yourself?
Absolutely. So I'm Dave Dwyer, the COO at Mass Virtual. Been with the company about 6 or 7 years now, 3 years in the current role. Had a little stint at the beginning and then took a gap and then came back. Unlike Emily, I didn't get to go to the
You're not a Full Sail grad?
No, I'm not a Full Sail grad.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I was 6.5 miles east, did UCF.
Okay, you're still with a friend.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm close. But I've been in the modeling, simulation, and training space for about 20 some odd years now. So very familiar with the training stuff that we do here in Orlando, and love Orlando and don't want to leave. And you'll see, I think, evidence of that today as we talk about what we're doing.
Well, amazing. And thank you both for your time and being with us today. So probably our audience and the students, they have no idea, or maybe they have heard about Mass Virtual before. But for me, I actually learned about Mass Virtual when I went to a trip to DC with one of your colleagues. And he kept telling me about all the things you guys do at Mass Virtual, and I'm like, okay, well, this is another company that works simulation for defense, the defense, especially here, especially in Orlando, we're known for being the hub of simulation and modeling and sim. So, but I didn't know the extent of what you guys are doing and the quality of products. And I'm really serious when I say it, because I went and I saw this myself. It's impressive what they do. So, Dave, can you please just introduce Mass Virtual and explain the role within our Central Florida ecosystem? Because also here in Central Florida, we have a different ecosystem compared to other states and cities.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So the Mass Virtual journey started back in 2009. Our CEO and co-founder, or CEO and founder, John Brooks, started a 2-story house in Avalon Park. So of all places, that's where we started, right? He came from, he had time in Silicon Valley. He had time with Crytek in Germany, so in the gaming industry. And that's kind of how we got our start, was with gaming technology, bringing that right to modeling and simulation. So within the first 3 years of the company, we won our first award at ITSEC, which is the largest simulation training show in the world. We won the Serious Games competition there. I think at the time there was about 6 of us working, which is a little different than today. Today,
So how many are you today? How big is the team?
198 as of today.
Oh, wow.
So yes, or as of yesterday. So nice. The team has expanded quite some bit since 2009. But when we talk about the different types of work that we do and the training, obviously we're here today to talk about Air Force work. We've done everything from museum displays to nuclear power plant operations to standalone weapons trainers and cave systems, stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
So we've kind of run the gamut on, immersive experiences, but really where we consider ourselves as a human performance company, because if what we deliver doesn't make a difference on the human edge side of things, it really doesn't matter what we're producing, right? It doesn't matter what the tech is if we're not getting an advantage and an outcome that's positive for the human factor at the end. So
I like your use of a human factor instead of just like XR or because it's true. We're trying to really make sure that whatever training that we're delivering or you're delivering really achieves the goals, and where we see a real difference in whatever like you're doing with the trainings. So talking about that, can you elaborate more on the development process and the key features of Mass Virtual XR training solution? And I know maybe I mentioned Air Force or the defense industry, but based on what you said, actually you had different industries as well. You worked for different industries as well, or you developed products for different industries.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing as we're talking about kind of what we bring to the table, it's our entire company pivoted to the XR, AR, VR, whatever R space we're using these days, right? Because it seems to constantly evolve. Now I think spatial computing is the latest one, right, that we're using for that terminology. But about 10, 11 years ago, John made the decision and pivoted the company to leverage what we have from our commercial gaming space, which is you're producing a AAA game title with over 2,000 developers coordinating to get a deadline that does not move, right?
Okay.
When you're talking about a launch title for Xbox One at the time, that date doesn't move. They're shipping the Xbox whether you have the game or not, right? But what we found was operating that level of stress environment, we brought the tools and the production pipeline back to the modeling and sim space to make it so that we're producing the highest level of quality on time and on target while having the customer in the loop. So we're giving feedback points throughout the entire development cycle with our customers to make sure that we hit that human factor at the end and we're delivering something that matters. So
that's amazing. So you talked about the realities, as you said, depending on what realities. And that's something that really impressed me when I went to Mass Virtual, is that, of course, I had a simulation or the training, different trainings. But the thing that impressed me is that usually the simulations that exist are for a specific headset, for a specific reality, and so on. But with you, you are headset agnostic, reality agnostic, device agnostic, because also you had mobile. So not only it can be augmented reality, mixed reality, or extended reality, or virtual reality completely immersed, but then also you had either the headset, you had the mobile, and so on, which kind of opens it up to, depending on your learner and what works with him or with her. So you have that product anyway. Can you explain how does Mass Virtual ensure that seamless transition between all of these different realities and headsets and technologies?
Sure. So, yeah, once again, it's not one size fits all. I think we've got a slide here for the Dale's cone for any of us that are familiar with training and simulation or any type of learning, right? Dale's cone talks about how learners digest data and how they retain it and what the best media is. Obviously, in the XR space, whether it's VR, AR, MR, it gives us the highest level of retention possible for the content that we're delivering. Now, it's not one size fits all, right? I mean, virtual reality may work in certain situations. Augmented reality may work better in another, but that's where the science comes in behind the scenes. So we're developing the solution to the target end user that makes a difference. It's not just, hey, we're giving you a bunch of VR because that's what we have on the shelf. And when you talk about being hardware agnostic and all that, we're building the content, the experience, because when you talk about fielding a piece of hardware, it's really the content that's going to drive the adoption of that hardware. Unlike anything else that we've got, if you play a video game on a screen, right, you're, if you don't like the game, you throw it away. You can put in a new game. With VR and AR or VR specifically, if you've got some bad content in there, you can get people sick, so,
Yes.
So it comes down to the quality experience and honing your craft in order to deliver what's right for the specific use case. So
That's great. That's great. I loved seeing that because we always have, sometimes when you go to tech fairs or even YouTube companies, many people experience motion sickness, and that can be either related to the quality of the product that's there, or like they may have some physical aspects to it. But then for you, I feel like you really thought of all the different aspects of training and what works with your trainee, I guess, and and you're just focusing on that end goal and trying to address the technological, or like have that technology aspect kind of a second thing, not really like the main thing that's leading your training.
that's correct. Yep.
So Emily, you completed a degree. You studied here at Full Sail, and you completed a degree in recording arts. And usually students, typically students who, and you're working right now as a sound designer in a simulation company, working on defense projects and simulations and so on. And then usually for our recording students, they try, or maybe they're focused more on that entertainment piece where they're focused more on the show production or the music or film industry, but they're not necessarily looking at simulation as an industry to go to. So I wanted you to share with us how did you end up finding Mass Virtual? How did your education and training here at Full Sail helped you get the job at Mass Virtual? And what made you go or make that transition towards a different industry that's not really where you see sound designers?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I came to, work at Full Sail, attend Full Sail, I was actually coming to start my career in more music, steer towards music. Because when I left New York, I knew that I wanted my career to be focused on audio. And growing up, being in New York City, I was involved in so much music. My mom loved music. My dad loved music. So I was like, okay, I want my life to be about audio. This is something that I'm dedicated to. So when I found Full Sail, they were more than passionate about audio. So I moved my whole life down. And then I was attending the school and going through the mixing classes and recording arts classes. And being someone who loves music so much, I found that like it was becoming more of like work when I was listening to music, and I was like starting to listen to music less, and I didn't like that.
Interesting.
Yeah, I wasn't
Okay.
I wasn't down to sacrifice music like that. I was working on like mixes, and then I'd come home and just shut the music off, because I was
wow.
doing it at
Like,
school, and
actual-
it was becoming the more technical aspect of it, and then
So
I was
you're not enjoying it as
Correct,
I think
yeah.
anymore. Okay.
yeah, so I was like, okay, maybe mixing and like recording in the studio isn't something that I want my career to be, because I didn't want to sacrifice music. Like I said, it's such a big part of me. So when I started taking the sound design course, the class with Thomas Owen, I realized like this is something different. It still involves audio. I can be really good at this. I was picking it up really well. So I was like, okay, I think sound design is for me. I think this is something that I can hone my skills on and like run with this. And then as far as like Mass Virtual and like finding that realism, I'm like more realistic based. So even like when I was doing freelance stuff or in film, I liked focusing on like the realistic audio. I like bringing audio to life in that way. So when I found Mass Virtual, I was like, this has to be a perfect fit, because this is where I can showcase my skills as to like everything that I learned through Full Sail about all my realism in audio.
That's amazing. So I'm kind of going to go over your journey.
Yeah.
So I know that you were working at with the restaurant industry at some point, and
Yeah.
then you found Mass Virtual, and then was audio kind of a big focus in Mass Virtual before when you joined them? Were there other sound designers, and then how to say it, like how did you get that experience when you joined Mass Virtual? How was that experience, and what did you do there?
I definitely had a unique experience, like onboarding for Mass Virtual. So they were looking for their first sound designer. So I was the first sound designer at Mass Virtual.
Oh, interesting.
So I'm not going to say that it wasn't thought of at all prior to me, because the person that hired me was a sound designer. He was just looking to delegate his tasks more, and he wanted like a sound designer to be able to focus on sound for Mass Virtual, which is understandable because our company is growing. So the fact that he was willing to look for someone like that meant a lot to me, because that meant that they wanted to focus on sound. So I was really excited about that. And basically my experience from like being hired on was I just wanted to capture all the sounds. That was my first year, was just getting our library built and going out in the field and capturing
Actually,
sounds.
we're seeing a video
Yeah,
right now of the field.
That was my first trip actually, was
So
in
can
that
you
video.
talk more about what you did there?
Yeah, I mean, first trip, first sound designer definitely was an experience. So I was able to, do
So
my
you went there. There was nothing to like kind of use, so you had to build everything.
Yeah, and we all knew like we were ready to start building our sounds and stuff. They didn't really just like throw me out in the ringer and said good luck.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
But I conducted my research. I went through like the list of like what equipment we should have in order to accurately capture these sounds, and I trusted in myself and my research, and they trusted in me, which made me feel all that more confident to go out there and capture these sounds. And I owe it to them, honestly, to like give me that confidence, be like, you can go out there and do this. And the fact that I went out there and did it, and it just felt so rewarding, honestly. So did my research, got the equipment, went out there, and then just each month I just kept going and didn't want to stop. I was just like, that year was just capturing sounds. And then after that year, I was able to, start growing my sound department to what it is today. And then 2 years later, I am now the sound design supervisor at Mass Virtual.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, we're so proud of you, Emily. So how big is that sound team right now?
A total of 4, including me.
Okay. And you mentioned earlier they're all Full Sail grads?
All Full Sail grads. I
Full Sail.
I actually graduated with one of them, so we have the same graduating month and date. Nico
Oh,
Chang.
that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about immersive technology and everything with extended reality, you would, of course, know that sound has a big impact on everything, how to make that experience really realistic. And you mentioned realism in everything you said.
Yeah.
So can you elaborate more on that? What makes, how do you make, I mean, with everything in that experience that I did myself, is that when I went, every detail was thought of. And that's what made me really enjoy and appreciate the product that you guys have.
Yeah.
Is I didn't think about the sound back then, but I know that there are many aspects, but probably sound is what made me also
I was going to say that's a good
connect.
thing that you didn't think about
Yeah,
sound, because if
yes.
you were thinking about sound, then that's the problem.
So
That's
can you explain that?
Yeah.
Because like we were talking about it earlier, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I didn't even think about that when you were shadowing the technicians,
Yeah.
they were specifically talking about a certain sound. If you don't hear it, then there's
Yeah.
a problem and so on. So
Yeah.
I want you to share that with
Yeah,
our
absolutely.
audience.
So that was the one thing that I learned and experienced, luckily enough. And what I then told my team to start doing is when we were out on these capture trips, I love for them to communicate and don't be afraid. I know we're shadowing other people and they're doing their jobs. I just want them to, your job is important too. So if you have a question for them, like take that initiative, go up to them and put yourself in their shoes and be like, okay, where do you want me to stand? Because you stand here every day. Where can I capture that sound accurately? And they're so willing, because they then see and realize like, oh, they actually like think thoroughly about the sounds that they want us to hear to play back. So, I've had instances where they literally will take my shoulders and place me on the tarmac somewhere and be like, this is where you're going to capture this perfect sound. And I'm like,
wow.
yes, thank you. And that's why it's important, because you're not going to get that if you're just going to keep your mouth shut and just like shadow around. Like you have to communicate with them. And then
That's
it's also
amazing.
great because you meet all these amazing people from different bases, and they love to just like tell you their story and vice versa.
And share with you,
And
from, like,
it's
yeah.
wonderful meeting all those people and like figuring out and finding out how they got to where they are today. And then they like to hear the same from you too. So you get to share your story as well.
That's amazing. So probably one thing that you learned here at Full Sail, and I'm pretty sure given what Mass Virtual is doing, is that technology is changing a lot. And I'm pretty sure in sound as well, there are new tools that are developed on a daily basis.
Every day, yeah.
So how are you staying current with all the tools that you're using? And how is that improving or enhancing that XR experience?
Oh, it definitely has improved, and it all comes down to research. Like even today and the day before, I'm always telling my team, like, we're going to conduct that research to then get the tools which Mass Virtual easily provides for us, so we can properly execute our audio implementation in that realistic way. So that's basically how. And then I love that when we need a tool, because we've done our research and we're like, okay, this is the next best step for our like audio realism, that Mass Virtual is like, okay, it's at your disposal. So that's really comforting and nice to have, because just as much as we care about the customer and the product, they realize that and they want to provide that for us so we can excel as not even in our job, but as as our career, as a person. So.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So Dave, let's go back to you. And you mentioned earlier that you're really in the business of human performance solutions, developing all these solutions and so on. And probably in order to make that is that you need to collect lots of data, and you need to have a whole data analysis of everything. You need to gather feedback from your users, and then kind of create that loop to keep improving your product. And I'm pretty sure you guys do that already.
Yeah, we have
So
to.
how are you leveraging the data analytics and user feedback to keep improving on your products?
So let's talk about a little bit about a production cycle, right? We keep the customer in the loop, whoever that happens to be, throughout the entire development cycle, because that helps us, adjust to things quicker than we can. Now with XR technology, you've got a multitude of points that are available for us to track now, right? It's no longer just a simple multiple choice quiz, true, false, or situational essay or something like that, right? You've got, hey, are they looking in the right direction? Are they using the right tool? You've got multiple branching. You've got all kinds of scenarios. So with everything that we deliver, it comes with a learning management system. Okay. So that feedback, we can have instructor-led courses, self-guided courses. You can have it spit out just simple job aids if you need it for a specific task or refresher training. But I think when we talk about the power that XR brings in with those data points, we did really well in the learning industry with single user learning, so to speak, right? Individual learning. So we can put somebody in front of a keyboard and a mouse, and they can click away and they can go through their tests. What VR, AR, XR brings to the table now is an enhancement to collective training. So, for us, for example, it takes 6 or 8 people to jack a C-130. They all can be working on their individual tasks, watching whatever they need to do, the plumb bob on the inside to see if they're tweaking the aircraft, or, making sure it's rising at the same rate. Does it train them how to push down a lever at the right? Yeah, that's muscle memory. They'll learn that when they go out to the field. But what they can get is from a 0 to an 80% level a heck of a lot quicker, and you're not damaging a high demand, low density asset, right, in order to perform that task. Airplanes are meant to fly. They're not meant to practice on and take stuff off of and put stuff back on it, right? And some of the parts aren't meant for replaceable.
At some point, you need to know what you're doing, otherwise that becomes very dangerous.
So that's the flexibility it brings. And as far as the data points go, it is a massive sea of data. So we're working with the instructors to see what the most effective things are. And I know we're going to talk a little bit later, kind of about the use cases and stuff that we have there. So I'll save some of the stats for that for later.
Okay, sounds good. One thing now that I'm hearing you saying it is scalability, because so when we're talking about simulation, usually the simulation, yes, you can have more than one person in there, but we're very limited to how many we can get in there. But based on your trainings and your products, I remember that we were a big number of people where we could even interact and collaborate together to do things together. And then that, of course, makes it even easier for remote users to also join. You don't need necessarily to be in the same room. No, you can also have remote users join. So I really liked that aspect of the simulation. Emily, when we're talking about sound and probably the skills that you got, whether here during your journey at Full Sail or in any of your jobs afterwards, there are some traditional kind of skills, and so I wanted to see how did that crossover of skills go from traditional field to what you're doing today in the XR industry.
Yeah, for skills that I learned in Full Sail, I would say that there's 2 really big ones. The first one, when I said that I used to work in film, I'm not sure if I said that earlier, but I used to work in film. Yeah. So when I was working in the restaurant industry, I was also working with Orlando Independent Film Company. Okay. So that's how I got like my first nomination for Best Sound and stuff like that. But Full Sail taught me how to use like the boom mic and stuff like that, boom operating. And that's how I brought the boom mic and the shotgun microphone into our field. So learning that on Full Sail, bringing it to the film set, and then bringing it into my workforce, like that's how that all connected. So that's one skill I would say. And then the second skill from Full Sail to now would have to be the digital audio workstations, the DAWs. So being in Full Sail, any recording arts student may know that you are in that Pro Tools DAW all day, every day. And personally, I think some may disagree, but I think that's one of the harder ones. So the fact that they drill that into you every day, all day and night, and they set you up with like the hardest one, I think because of that, you can use anyone. And because now that you can use any of those softwares, I think that opens the doors to you like immensely, because those softwares have softwares within the software, and then you're just constantly learning. So I would think the DAWs is like the biggest skill for me, because I feel like I can just open something up and create something on the spot.
That's great. At Full Sail, we always try to use whether the technology or the tools that are used in the industry. We want to make sure that we're training that the students in the future kind of workforce. Yeah. And it's what we're doing is really creating that talent pipeline, but we want to make sure that we're reducing the time of training as well. Sometimes companies spend a lot of time after they hire a person is to train them, bring them up to speed to whatever their products are and so on. And we really work a lot in emerging tech, but I know that it's across Full Sail, that we work a lot with industries, understand their needs, reverse engineer that in our curriculum so that the students and the graduates are ready and they are kind of tailored for the industry they're going into. So Dave, how are you going about the training when it comes to getting new talent or hiring new people at Mass Virtual. Can you talk more about your approach to everything?
Yeah, so we're probably a little different than most companies out there with the way we attack things. About 10 years ago, John pivoted the company to focus on VR development, XR development at the time. With that, we built a production pipeline, right, that takes us from beginning to end. You saw the video of Emily being involved from the sound, from the beginning of the that's before we even start any type of development, right? Sound team's integrated at the very beginning at the front. And that follows through the cycle, right? We have the customers and we have every department that's going to engage throughout the entire process. And, we talk about, building skills for the students coming out. It's important they have the basics and the skills, know how to navigate the tools, but really from a technical pipeline perspective, it's up to the company. So it's a partnership between the skills they have and what the company has in place to train it. I mean, we've scaled significantly over the last 2 years. I'll just say that.
Yeah, I heard the number. I'm like, oh, wow, yes.
So, with that scaling, our turnover rate's been less than 1%. So we're getting the production out. We're hitting our marks as far as timeline to produce and all that stuff, and we're keeping the people happy. At least I think we are. I mean, the numbers show that. But I think it goes back to, like Emily says, the suspension of disbelief that we create, right? So you're not thinking about sound when you're in one of our products, right? It's there and it's part of the environment. It's natural. And the other thing that we try to breed from breed is the right word, but the thing that we instill in our culture is that, obviously being military focused, I'll use the Navy SEAL line, but the only easy day was yesterday. So we're always constantly challenging to figure out what the next thing is to make life easier. And so that's when come and ask for tools or new equipment or whatever. It's like, we'll put the money back there faster than anything else, because if it makes us go faster and makes that level of immersion higher, that's what we're all about, and delivering what the customer needs. So
that's amazing. So I know that, you mentioned culture, and when I went to Mass Virtual a couple of weeks ago, I was impressed by the culture there at Mass Virtual, because it reminded me a lot of what we have here at Full Sail. It's that cultivating that spirit of innovation, making people feel comfortable as if they are at home, really having them create. It's that spirit of creativity as well. And I remember we were visiting both buildings, and I was mentioning to your colleagues back then, that it's so interesting how much Mass Virtual is an extension to Full Sail, as if it's the next step. We are the university, and Mass Virtual is the industry afterwards.
So I've got one for. I think Mike told me we've used this quote, so we think we stole it from you. So we're gonna have to go with that. But you said, I think it was you said, it's where the left and the right brain meet. So,
yes,
so
that was Phoebe Elephant in the program.
Okay, I knew it was somebody on the tour.
I'm not going to say yes, I said it, but Phoebe, the program director of game design and interactive technology here at Full Sail, she was with me that day, and she's like, because I was mentioning that, and she's like, yeah, exactly, that's where the two brains are meeting, and we're like, oh, Phoebe, like you're.
so we've used that quote presentation.
We're fine with that, but yeah, and I remember even when I went upstairs, I just went to a random person, and I'm like, who are you? What are you doing? Where did you graduate from? Because I felt as if it had Full Sail spirit, culture, and so on, but it's your own culture. It's Mass Virtual, but it just reminded me of what we have here. So Emily, can you talk more about the culture that you guys have at Mass Virtual?
Yeah,
and I know there is a video that you guys want to play.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So like I said, I've only been there for 2 years, and when I first got hired, I obviously didn't know anybody. So it was just me, the lone sound designer starting. And then I think it had to be like my first capture trip where I met one of my closest friends to this day. And,
oh, wow.
And she's always there for me, and I'll always be there for her. And it's something like that. So I need to mention, like, I've been working since I was 16. I'm about to be 25 in May. So I've had a lot of jobs.
Young.
I've had a lot of jobs. I'm very work hungry, so I've had a lot of jobs. I was 16 and got my driver's license and a job right away.
Nice.
Just
Impressive.
right to the grind.
Impressive.
So I've had a lot of business experience, and I've been in a lot of businesses where they say, like, this is a business. This is not a family environment. and that I kind of had that like drilled into my head. So I was like, you cannot tie like work and family. And then coming to here, it immediately felt like family, and everyone knows how to work ethically and like hardworking. So Mass Virtual knows how to combine that seamlessly and well. So like it can still be a family environment, and these people still can, nose to the grindstone because they're passionate about it, and they care about the product, they care about the customer, they care about the work that they're putting out. And at the same time, they can go grab a beer with you after work, or go bowling with you, or like hang out and like go grab food and the amazing food in Orlando, and just connect that way. So you can have that connection with these people, and then also come into work and, do your thing if you want to like do your thing, or if you want to like network with them. You can have days where you just want to focus on your product, or you can have days where you want to collaborate. And everyone's just it's so wonderful having like that work family that actually is a work family.
That's amazing. I believe in work family as well.
Yeah.
I know many people keep telling me, they also like say that like work is work, family is not.
You cannot.
You cannot mix them. But
it is possible.
It's here at Full Sail. It's the culture
Yeah.
that we have. It's that we are a family.
Yeah.
I'll add one thing to it. I think it's worth saying, obviously we're a technology company and whatnot, and 98% of our workforce is in-house, right? So we're all operating. I think that adds to the collaboration we get, in the
That's amazing. That's amazing. And you have that creativity and passion, and they feel invested.
The dedication is there.
Dedication, exactly. So since we're talking about all these amazing things at Mass Virtual, can you share with us any of the success stories or use cases where we're really seeing the benefit of the training that you guys are developing at Mass Virtual, and how is that helping the defense industry achieve their goals or achieve their trainings?
Yeah, absolutely. So you'll see we've got a slide here to show, with some of the stats. So obviously, talked about our Air Force is one of our largest customers. They performed a study after about a year of rolling out our virtual reality. And, now we're deployed at over 83 different locations across the globe. And they're running about 31,000 students a year through our training content. So it has taken off like wildfire right over the last couple of years. But there's second and third order effects. It's not just about the training effectiveness. It's, when we're talking about airframes, they're reducing time that they have to take aircraft down to actually train on them, right? So the aircraft can be more mission capable. They're getting students, now that they're training to task and not to time, they're getting the students through the training pipeline a lot faster, and they're not having to recycle them. And then the last piece of the puzzle is not only are they seeing, oh, hey, we're getting them through the training curriculum faster, but when we get them out to the actual flight line, they're performing the tasks first time right, and they don't have to do it again. So it's reducing cycles, it's reducing, parts that you have to replace. It's all that. And, one of our guys that we have, Jimmy, back at the office, he says, we don't need 50% of our maintenance being caused by 50% of our maintenance, right? So that's what we're trying to avoid, right? So once again, it goes to the human factor. But, there's second and third order effects of just having a more effective workforce and training them. When you talk about, okay, we're going to get students through the pipeline faster, well, then that means I can increase how many people I've got that can get to qualification faster. It also talks about if they're learning and retaining better, well, guess what? Maybe now I don't have to reskill them for something else, right? We're just upskilling the workforce we have. So it really frees up and optimizes the human performance aspect of what's going on the backside of the training,
That's amazing. That's amazing what you guys are doing. So we talked about the the success stories, but also in order to have a product this successful with this high fidelity, you probably had or encountered some challenges. So how can you go over some of the challenges, if it's okay, and then talk about how did you address these challenges? And I'm going to direct the questions to both of you. You're talking at the product level. I want you to talk about the sound level. Yeah,
absolutely.
Sure.
So for the audio perspective, I'll go first. Obstacles I believe that the audio department faces, it has to be managing our time because we are such a small sound department as of current. And like I said, I've only been there for 2 years. First year was just me. So it's a slow process. It doesn't just happen overnight, having a whole, massive sound team at this growing company. So yeah, we're small right now, but definitely very strong. So, but it's managing that time because we go out on the field, as you saw, a lot. We go out a lot. We go out on the field a lot. So me being a supervisor now, I don't want to sacrifice my time as much as I was willing to in the beginning, because I have a lot of, responsibilities and tasks that I want to accomplish, and even same for my coworkers too. Like they have, tasks that they want to accomplish as well. So we are overcoming that obstacle currently of hiring more sound designers to help out with us going on the field and like still ever growing our sound library, because we are really passionate about that. We love capturing those sounds out in the field and capturing as much as we can. We don't want to miss a trip because we don't have the people or don't have the time, and we currently are in the process of gathering more people. So it's an obstacle that is currently being overcome, which is great. So that's the only one that I can think of as of late.
That's great. How about you, Dave? And I know there is a video, I think, for that.
Maybe, yeah. I think we got a product video to show.
Yeah.
So I think going back to some of the statements I made earlier, the biggest thing is there's been a statement that we've banned from our vocabulary within the company, right? So we're a defense contractor, right? And the saying in training is, it's good enough for government work, right? And that's we're not allowed to say that under the roof. It's not allowed, because.
And thank you for doing that, because like all the other, I don't want to talk about other simulations or other products, but you can see the difference.
Yeah. So we've set the bar really high for what we're doing, and we challenge everybody every day to exceed that. So like I said earlier, the only easy day was yesterday, but when we're talking about the products for training, we're so used to, we're still talking about it. I've been in the MS&T world for 20 years, right? And we're still talking about, death by PowerPoint, right? We're still talking about it. It's been 20 years and we haven't gotten off the death by PowerPoint, right?
Yeah.
So, when it comes to that, I think part of it is we don't know what's available, right? So I can't tell you how many times we go to a trade show and we put people in a headset and a demo, and they come out of it and they're like, I didn't know this kind of VR existed. Like it's like from the Matrix when they're picking the two pills and they just saw the real world. It's like, that's where we're at, right? So it's just amazing that it's there, but it's expectation management. So, and the way that we counter it and the way we overcome those obstacles is basically it's customer first. It's a user-centric design approach that we take,
That's
right?
amazing.
So it's always about getting the end product that makes a difference. It's not just meeting a deliverable date and getting something across the line and getting paid for it. So I think with that entire, look at how we approach things, with that, everything comes out right in the end. So
That's great. I agree with you. It's completely different. So, Emily, if you're okay, I'm going to share a bit about your background, or actually how I learned more about you.
She did her research.
So when I asked, always, especially because I was really impressed by what they're doing at Mass Virtual, and I know that I asked specifically, do you have full cell grads? Because this has full cell. In every aspect of whatever you're doing, we can have full cell grads working for you, with you guys. And so when we decided to do Tech Tuesday on Mass Virtual, I asked specifically, I want to have a full cell grad. Mm-hmm. And then I am emerging tech. I expected that they're going to give me a developer. And then they came and they were like, we have the sound design supervisor. And I'm like,
what do I do with that?
I don't know what kind of questions I'm going to ask. I am not in the audio industry. I don't want to sound inexperienced here and so on. So, I did my best and with some of the questions, but I did reach out to the faculty from the recording arts, and I reached out to the education director of the audio programs, Brandon Edgerton, and he put me in touch with what it seems like he used to be your instructor, Thomas Owen, and he actually shared with me, for me, I was like, I just need questions, but he had a lot to say about you and how proud he is about what you're becoming and all your achievements and so on. But he specifically was sharing with me an experience that I think you had here with working with Neve, who is one of our game design master's graduates.
Yeah.
And I guess you guys were working on a project together and so on. So if you can talk about that and
Yeah.
how did that whole collaboration between programs come about, and how did that experience help you in what you're doing today?
Yeah, that was really exciting when I met her, because when I met her and her team, and we went outside on the little picnic table, which was so cute, and I just saw it was all girls. I was like, oh my God, yes. I was like, I love that it's all girls, and we're just like collaborating and like sitting in this beautiful weather in Florida and talking about, stuff that we love and we're passionate about. So that was really exciting. And she was so sweet, and she really cared about her product too and what she wanted to push out. And then I think she picked up on my vibe and how I was passionate about audio and what I was doing, because I was very attentive from the beginning what she wanted. I wanted to properly execute what she wanted. So I was like listening to her and the girls and their vision, and basically staying organized through the whole process. And then I showed her, and then she was just like, okay, yeah, that's how you got the audio lead. Because I, just paid attention, like in Full Sail, like what she wanted, how she wanted to execute it, and I just wanted her and her product to be happy in the end.
That's great.
It was wonderful working with all those women, though.
Oh,
it was really
of
wonderful.
Of course.
She was so
I don't want to
nice.
say I know, but like, yes.
Yeah. She was very
We're
nice, and
productive.
I appreciate Thomas for giving me that opportunity, because it kind of like broke me out of my shell, because I knew I was ready to start, sound design and like pushing myself, and he came at the perfect time, or she did, because I was ready to start breaking out of my shell, not being in the classroom and asserting myself into a project. So that was the start for me.
That's great. So we're getting to the end of the episode. I want to leave some time for our Q&A and our students and audience to ask their questions. But one last question for you, Dave, and you, Emily, as well, is what I'm pretty sure everyone is now trying to search and learn more about Mass Virtual, and they're probably trying to figure out how they can work at your company. And you already have a bunch of Full Sail students. So I wanted to know if you have any open positions, what kind of skills you guys are looking for, and so on, so that we can have our students who are about to graduate, or our grads even, go ahead and how to say it, apply for the positions that you have.
So I think before we start wrap, I just want to say thanks to you, Haifa, and your team for making us feel so welcome here today. We really appreciate
thank
it.
You.
Thank you. It's been an awesome experience. So
thank you.
So I'll talk from the openings perspective, and then I'm going to turn it to you for a couple things, because we've got so much to talk about. So yes, you can go on the website if you'd like to be part of one of Orlando's best places to work, and an Inc. 5000 fastest growing company, which I failed to mention in the intro. Go to the website, because it'll be up to date.
Okay, go ahead. I'm going to give you the chance. You are like the best place to work out.
I plugged it. So we've got openings. I know right now we have a sound opening. We've got IT openings.
Sound opening.
Yep.
Recording art students. You said IT.
IT. We've got
my IT students.
We've got 3D art. We have
game art students.
And I don't know if we have any software engineering openings, but I mean,
computer science. We're gonna make
there
it.
There you go. Those are the type of skills we're always looking for. So the website's always got up to date. Our people ops team are very on top of all that stuff. And then, typically, we go through a standard interviewing process, but we don't, you'll know one way or the other. So we don't keep everybody hanging in limbo. So we like to get everything back.
Great.
But I think when we talk about what it takes to get here, I'll just say from our side, we find that training skills are one thing, and culture is a whole different thing. We find that if you're not a culture fit, it tends to weed you out faster than not having the skills. So, and I think Emily can probably talk to what a day in the life is like as far as working, because that's totally what we exude. So
yeah, and I actually had someone ask me that the other day, because as he mentioned, like I'm in the process of interviewing right now, and so basically he asked like, well, what's like a work day like in being a sound designer? And what are you looking for? So basically what you're asking now. And I was like, well, I explained the workday, how tasks work, how tasks are delegated, and then getting down to like, what you're looking for. We have like core values, and it's just like, team effort, collaboration, dedication, customer focus, and just passion basically.
That's
so
great.
if I feel that from you, it's really a good start. And I always ask everyone, like when I'm doing my audio interviews, I'm like, what does audio mean to you? And it's such a simple question, but it really is so powerful. Like even saying it, I get goosebumps because it means so much to me.
Of
so
course, yeah.
that's what I always ask, like, what does it mean to you? And I love hearing the answer because like it's always so different, like people's experiences. So I love hearing people's stories, like how they, discovered audio too, and what was their inspiration, it was young or if it was just at Full Sail. I have both those, where they got inspired at Full Sail or they got inspired when they were a baby. Like it's always different. So that definitely is an important question that I always ask. Like, what does it mean to you? Are you passionate about it? And then, of course, having the skills are important too. Yeah.
Okay. In terms of positions, so you have a sound designer. I know you mentioned a level designer as well.
A technical designer. I know they just posted recently.
Interactive tech and game design people. Okay, well, let's get to the questions from our audience. So do you have a security clearance to work project with Mass Virtual?
Short answer is no, you do not have to have a secret or any type of security clearance to work for us. We've got projects that are unclassified. We have some projects that are classified, but we can find a home for you if you're the right fit.
Okay. And if you have questions or a follow-up question on this, feel free to put that question there, and we can get to it. And I'm sorry, the font is very small. They were making so much fun about my age earlier, and I'm like trying to be cool about it. But anyway. Okay, so what is the most recent audio technology upgrade that Mass Virtual has provided for you and your team?
So there's a couple things. So two things. The main things, we recently have upgraded one of our softwares, but it's one that I can discuss. It's the DAW. So we are no longer using Audition. We are going to be using Nuendo 13, and I'm so excited. So that is definitely a great addition. I can't wait. The reason why I'm so excited about Nuendo 13, if any audio people know, it really is a DAW that's focused for sound designers. It's the DAW that I personally use at home. So that's, I don't know if anyone sees my website after this, but the Tomb Raider trailer that I have up, I made it a little bit ago. That's what I use Nuendo with. It's so much fun. And then it also has 3D spatial audio tools within it. So we're going to be able to utilize those in our upcoming development process as well. So that's exciting. And then besides Nuendo 13, we also have new audio, like field recording equipment. So new backpacks, new like standing poles. I'm trying to do some more research on microphones because they're a little bit expensive, as people may know. But
yeah,
it'll come around in due time. But yeah, those are two big upgrades that I'm very proud of too.
That's great. Okay. Next question: can you discuss any ongoing research or development initiatives aimed at advancing VR/AR capabilities of Mass Virtual?
So I'll have to keep this one kind of high level, but we have an entire team dedicated to R&D. We are currently, I believe we have 2 openings on that team as well on the website, if my memory serves me right from the conversation I had yesterday. So we are working on all of the above. We've got VR, AR, we're doing some mixed reality as well. So, I mean, the team's always working on something new. If you know anything about us, if you guys have ever been to ITSEC or anybody's ever goes to ITSEC every year, right?
Yeah, we do go to ITSEC every year.
We're one of the companies, when you show up at our booth, we never show the same thing twice, right? It's always something new. So that's what the R&D team heads up. And then similar to Formula One, we got a lot of Formula One fans at Mass Virtual, but we roll that research and development back into our main product line. So it's kind of like they're spearheading the new features and tool sets, and then we feed it back into the production pipeline. So it's not for nothing. It's not just a demo. So
that's good. Any plans on making content for surgery operations? And probably here we're talking about any other industry beside defense. So
I'll say we just had a new commercial award. I'll just leave it at that. That came in last week. We have a couple more that are on the hook. So I'll leave it at that. Yes, it's not just defense contracting. It's not just Air Force, not just Marines, not just Navy work. So as far as surgery, I don't know that I have anything specific for medical on the top of my head. We have done it in the past, but I don't know of anything right now off the top of my head.
All the sounds coming in my head, I'm like, oh my God, how intense that would be. Capturing that on the field, I don't know. I would be sweating and be like, I can't be in the surgery room.
See, seeing all that blood and so on. It's like, I'm going to turn, give my back. So actually that brings me to another question that I meant to ask earlier is, what kind of emerging technologies, or do emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, and so on, and machine learning, and all of those, are they being used? Do they enhance? If they're not, how are you currently looking at enhancing the solutions that you have with the technologies?
Oh yeah, we are using it in full force. I think.
If
you talk to our video team, you talk to our graphic arts team. I don't know if you guys are using the sound yet or not, but yeah, you are. Okay. So
she's like, "What are you talking about?"
Yes, we are.
What are you talking about?
So we're using it across the board. I was just at an AI conference last week out in Silicon Valley at Microsoft's Valley campus, and what they talked about there was, we have the 15-year iteration of technology, right? Whether it was going from mainframe to personal computers, cell phone to smartphone, and then, to AI. Well, we've got AI as well as all the devices all converging at once, right? And so if we're not looking at it, it's definitely full bore.
Of course, especially with the revolution of AI. I mean, like you have no other option but to look at it and figure out how to use it, and enhance that product. So the next question is, can we get a paid internship under Empire? Okay, so I know what that is. So here, given the pace of Full Sail and the pace of our education, we have courses every month, and students don't have, we don't really have time to go on an internship. So usually what we do is that when we work with companies is that we will look at graduates who graduated within the last year or 6 months, depending on what the company requirements are. And then they will hire a recent grad as an intern for a paid internship. So do you guys do something like that as a paid internship or not?
We've done internships before. We'd have to talk. I guess we can hook whoever needs to be hooked up from our end, from the people ops side, and do it.
So we can have our career development team then look at that. Do you see any adjacent industries for this technology? Oh yeah, I mean.
I think it doesn't. Definitely doesn't limit itself just to defense or whatever we've talked about today. I mean, it's going to spread in everything. In fact, one of our business development reps, Billy, he's got a son-in-law that's going for a pro day for the NFL. And they said that they were using Focus 3s and whatnot to test reflexes and actual real telemetry data on what his eyes are doing and how he responds to stress and all this stuff just in preparation for his pro day. So they're using it well outside of just whatever we discussed today.
Yeah. I mean, I was speaking at a NASA conference 2 weeks ago, and my talk was about smart cities, but also how XR is included in every aspect of smart city, whether it's urban planning, at looking at how like a new area is going to be developed, looking even having customer and public feedback on that, whether on smart resilience and training all the people and first responders on different disasters so that they're ready and so on, whether it's healthcare. I mean, all the industries are using XR right now. So, of course, yeah. So I recently graduated from Full Sail with my MFA in media design degree. Are there any opportunities available for designers at Mass Virtual?
100%. Yes, and we're hiring for that right now. In fact,
there you go.
Definitely.
So please go ahead and apply.
Yeah.
And just one note on the application: if you think you have a skill set that fits what we're looking for, but you don't quite see the job title that's right, we do have a general consideration job field on the website. We do monitor that. That's not just like it doesn't just go into no man's land. So
which
definitely
a lot of people think.
Yeah, no, we actually look at it and we do farm it. So
that's amazing. That
so
you guys
put in
do
there
that.
if you're not sure.
Okay. So what steps are you taking to keep your company safe from cyber threats?
Wow. Okay, we're gonna go back to my IT knowledge here. So we have an IT department. Obviously, in the defense space, we have to comply with certain standards. I think we're working towards CMMC 2.0 now is the latest thing. A lot of the work we do is in a classified environment. Some of it's classified controlled unclassified information, CUI. I was getting there. I was getting there. We have to take all those precautions, from that perspective. So
we also have security officers too.
Yeah, we
certified
have an
security officers,
FSO,
FSO. They make you feel really safe for sure.
Yeah.
So
Do you think quantum computing will become a part of your industry as it's still heavily in R&D for most big tech grants as we speak?
I'm not that well versed on quantum computing, but I would have to say probably yeah. I mean, I think it's, to my knowledge, what the quantum computing stuff can do for us, it's going to speed up the delivery of the cloud. And, no matter how much bandwidth you have, it's never enough. And so the faster you can get the stuff or the more you can compress it to deliver it to the end result, I think it'll have a play there. Okay.
So final question. How do sound pitches affect the simulation? Are optic... Oh my gosh, I cannot even...
Are optic cords better than wired cords? I don't know. I should do my research on that. Can you tell me?
Or is Bluetooth better?
Bluetooth is not better. Bluetooth is not better for... and honestly, anything, even like in your car stereo, you should always just like plug your phone into the car because you get better receiving of your music. So sometimes I try to just plug my phone in. So no, Bluetooth is not better. I mean, Bluetooth, it could only be okay if it's like those digital content creator like pod microphones, but that's with a transmitter. So even then, like Bluetooth's not good. Optic versus wired cords. I want to go with wired, but I would like to do more research on that. It's a really interesting question. And as far as sound pitch effects in simulation, if you mean like literal like sound pitches, like sometimes in post we can like alter the pitch of a sound because we are taking that initiative because we were out in the field and heard the pitch a certain way on the field. So if we need to bring it down or up, we are free to do so. I hope I answered your question okay. I'm so sorry. I want to do more research into that.
I'm like, I don't know what you
optic
guys
cords
are
better than wired
talking about,
cords.
sure.
I will look into that.
Okay. Well, thank you for at least
my attempt at
it. We made it. This has been amazing. Thank you so much for your time today, for spending some time with us and trying to talk more about what you do as Mass Virtual and what you do at in your job. We would love to see you more here at Full Sail and come
Thank you
and
for
meet with
having
our
me.
students. I know that you wanted to say a couple of words at the end.
Yeah, just because we're wrapping up, of course, I do want to shout out my sound department, my sound team. Of course, they're Full Sail grads, but it's not even because of that. I just want to shout out you guys.
Because they are Full Sail grads.
I just want to say thank you so much for everything that you do, your hard work, your dedication, your passion, just like as you are as people. I really appreciate all three of you. So Nico Chang, Julissa Vasquez, and Julio Cruz, thank you so much for being the people that you are, and I will always appreciate you and value you. You are doing so great, and just keep up the good work. Thank you so much.
That's amazing. Any final words, Dave?
No, I just want to say thanks again for having us. It was a pleasure. We look forward to having more Full Sail grads on the team.
Yes. We're going to work on that.
And continue to grow here in Orlando.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. This is Haifa Maamar from Full Sail University. Have a great day.